Alright, so we're going to learn the clean today. Clean is really explosive. It's full body exercise, but it focuses more on your glutes and your quads. Great for anything where you want lots of power. Even if you're running, cycling, you'll notice that you'll be able to do a lot more work without fatiguing. So it's really great for everything and a lot of sports as well. So I'm just going to go through with just a Olympic barbell first, just through all the different phases. Starting position, you want to hold the bar just above the balls of your feet, nice and close to your shins, about 1 inch or even touching. And then you want your shoulders over the bar or slightly in front of the bar, nice flat back or slightly arched. Your eyes are always facing forward as well. And then we're going to do the first pull is just below your knees. Scoop is over your knees and you're going to thrust forward a little bit. And then the second pull is probably the most explosive movement. And for this one, you're going to rapidly shrug your shoulders up. And then you're going to slightly flex your elbows. So second scoop up to here. And then for the catch, just going to put it on top of your anterior deltoids or your clavicle. And dismount so carefully and back down. You want the bar as close to your shins as possible, and you want to keep it as close to your torso as possible throughout the entire movement, so don't be pulling it the front edges out. You want your shoulders over the bar slightly in front, back is nice and flat, your head is facing forward, make sure you keep your torso up and straight. Then you're going to extend here, and catch on top of your deltoids or clavicles. Great. Okay, so let's see you do a couple. So starting position, balls of your feet under the bar there. Keep the bar nice and close. Hands are shoulder width apart. Keep your back flat, slightly arched. Head forward, eyes facing forward. Okay, then keep the bar as close to your body as possible. Okay, great. And then come up, extend, catch. Good. Make sure it's close to a little bit close to your torso. Okay. And then rapidly shrug your shoulders upwards on that second pull. There you go. Good. All right. Let's see one more. Make sure the balls of your feet are under the bar there. All right, one more. Crouch shrug. Good. Okay, so we're going to do a couple SAQ exercises using this ladder. So we're going to do varying intensities. We'll start with more simple ladder exercises. So just 1 foot in, move to 2 foot in, so they can shuffle, stuff like that. So I'm just going to demonstrate them off first and how I would increase the intensity of them. Make sure to always keep an athletic position. So push your hip backwards. Make sure to always pump your arms, keep your torso upright. So I'll just go through the varying intensities here. So 1 foot in. And then I would do 2 foot in. Then I would do some Icky shuffles. So we'll do single leg first. So 1 foot drum, make sure you're pumping your arms. Okay, great. Good, press forward. Right, now do 2 foot. Coming back. Hold it on a little bit. Good. So I do a couple Icky shuffles, or Icky shuffle there. The English shuffle is. So go slower at first, and then once you get a rhythm, you can start to pick up the pace a little bit.
So is it the 1 foot in?
Yep. 1, 2, 2, out. 1, 2, out. 1, 2, out. Okay. Great. 1, 2, out. 1, 2, out. 1, 2, out. Good. Feel the rhythm going there. Good. So the next exercise we're going to do is a plyometric squat sequence. It's actually called the 5-5-5 squat sequence. First off, I would just make sure the client knows the proper form of a squat, make sure they can perform the sequences safely. So just your basic cueing I would instruct them on, make sure they can do. Feet shoulder width apart, toes pointed slightly outwards. Want to keep your abdominal muscles contracted throughout the sequence. And then your back, you want to keep it with a slight arch, but for the most part pretty flat. You don't want to have any rounding of the shoulders. Important to keep your eyes facing forward, upright torso as well. So for depth, you're just going to have the client coming down so their thighs are parallel to the floor, pop their butt out at the back, that usually helps as well. And then really important, you just want to make sure your thighs don't come over your toes there. So make sure they're in line with your toes and you don't want to have any tracking, so them going inside or outside. So I would just make sure the client can perform the squat safely. To start, I would probably just use body weight, just to introduce them to the sequencing. When they're ready, I would then add some weight, and to add the weight, I'd actually just use this medicine ball here. Just put it on the shoulders like so. Very important for this sequence of squats, especially for the final tempo, that you keep the medicine ball on the shoulders throughout. The last tempo is pretty fast, and if you were to take the ball off of the shoulders, it could result in injury, so that's pretty important. So how this works is there's 15 squats. They're in a series of 5 each. There's 3 different tempos. So the first tempo is a 6-1-2 tempo. So you're going to have a 6-second descent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you're going to have a 1-second catch here. So just brief catch, count 1. And then the ascent is going to be 2 seconds. So 1, 2, straight up. So that's that tempo. You do 5 squats of that, and then the second tempo is a little bit more explosive, so you're going to be doing 5 squats a little bit more rapidly. So the tempo for that is 2-0-2. So 2-second descent, 1, 2. At the bottom, you're not going to be stopping it up, so it's at all. So as soon as your thighs are parallel, 0, up, and then a 2-second ascent. So 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, up. So this one is pretty explosive. But it's important to make sure that your feet don't leave the floor, because that's the difference between this tempo and the final tempo, which is a 2-0-1 tempo. So for this final one, your feet will be leaving the floor. So it's going to be a 2-second descent, no stop at the bottom, and then you're going to jump up. So 2, 1, 2, 1. I'm just going to run through that sequence myself. I'm only going to probably do about 2-3 squats for each tempo, just because I don't want this video to be too long. As you can see, I don't really have a client, unfortunately, today, so I will be trying to explain how I would teach the client and cue the client as well. For the most part, I would probably do the tempo cueing for the client, so counting down the descent and the catch and the ascent, especially if they're starting plyometrics and if they've never done this squatting sequence before. And then I would just make sure throughout the exercise that their squatting form is correct, and the medicine ball is on their shoulders throughout the exercises. So the first tempo is our slower tempo, is a 6-1-2 tempo. So medicine ball in the back here, nice slow descent, proper squatting form here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 catch, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 1, 2. So that's the slow tempo there, really just warming up their muscles, getting them prepared for the more rapid movements, which includes the second tempo, which is a 2-0-2 tempo. So for this one, it is a little bit more rapid, more forceful contractions, but your feet will not be leaving the floor. So again, 2-0-2. So faster descent here, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. One more, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. All right, so that was the second tempo there. You can tell even by doing it, you have a little bit more rapid contraction in your quads, so that's just preparing you for the final tempo, which is the jump squat. This is a 2-0-1 tempo. So because it is a jump squat, I would make sure the client can do a jump squat safely and successfully. So for this, you want to make sure they have a nice soft landing. They're not landing too far forward on their toe, too far back on their heel, and also they're they're not being contorted in a really noticeable way. So their shoulders aren't coming forward, they're not coming to the side here, their knees aren't tracking outward. So if you did notice any of these, or if I noticed any of these, I would see if I could correct those first. So again, going back to that jumping and squatting technique, and then if it still doesn't, I would look at maybe making the tempo a little bit slower, or not taking the medicine ball into account. So I would take just body weight. So just do the final tempo here. So same descent, 1, 2, jump squat. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so that's the jump squat there. Really great for people who are starting plyometrics because it's a nice little progression. So you have your slower squat, a little bit more rapid, and then at the end you get into a higher intensity. It's really great preparing people for more intense plyometrics and even Olympic lifts.